Hey, Papa Sefa here. This is going to be a super quick high-level overview video of how to get your first clients through outbound today. Now, like I said, I'm Papa Sefa, founder at Leverage Outbound. Leverage Outbound is a B2B growth agency that serves US-based clients, and we help them to drive sales calls with qualified prospects with predictability. So let's hop into things. This is essentially our growth thesis, and I'll just walk you through it. So essentially, we're currently at current state, right? Current state for a lot of our clients is that they've had good growth in the past, but a lot of that's come from inbound or referrals or, from trade shows or from their own Rolodex, right? Or where it's come from outbound, a lot of the time they found that the performance of that has dropped significantly over the past year because of crackdowns from Google and Microsoft, etc. So what are they trying to do? What they're really looking to do is get their offer seen and heard by people who aren't aware of them or what they do. Now, in doing that, we obviously have two main categories of buyers, right? We have the aware buyers up here, which is going to tend to be about 1 to 3, max 5% of your market. And these are the guys who are in the market for your solution today, right? They're actively looking for your solution. And then we have everyone else, right? That's, the other 95, 97%. Now, the thing about the aware buyers up here is because they're aware that they have a problem, oftentimes they're actively looking for a solution, like I said. And why is that a problem? Because that means they're going to tend to gravitate to whoever spends the most marketing dollars to acquire them. Now, unless you're prepared to outbid all of the people who are bidding for these people up here, because after all, that's the whole point, that's the whole function of ads. What you need is a mechanism to not only capture the guys up here, but also start to generate demand lower down in this mass of people. So how do you do that? Well, look, step one is to determine your ideal client profile. And really more than that is to determine your ideal client situation. So, we've traditionally spoken about things like demographics, firmographics, psychographics, and all of that is super valuable and very useful. But really now, because of the capabilities that we have, what you want to be looking at is things like, what are the situations that our best or our ideal clients have come to us in? Is that, typically off the back of a funding round? Is it typically off, the back of a newly incumbent CEO or CMO or something like that? And then it's once you start to combine that with all of that kind of demographic, firmographic stuff, that's when you can get a really good idea of your ideal client situation. Okay. Now, from there, it's about crafting an offer and messaging that is ICP specific and speaks to those people and demonstrates that not only do you have a unique understanding of their needs and desires, but you can also offer a unique solution to those. Now, the way we're doing this right now is with a tool called Octave. So essentially what happens is you can go into Octave and you can create these kind of playbooks and create your product in the library. So for example, we're currently looking at the product Leverage Outbound, right? And because I've put in there insights from our sales calls, I've put in our sales letter, I've put in a bunch of different information in there, and it can also pull directly from your website. But you'll see then it starts to create this really good research and kind of acts as a base for your messaging. So you'll see here, for example, status quo. Marketing agencies rely on entry-level SDRs who typically spend 70% of their time researching prospects and manually crafting emails, resulting in only 20 to 30 outreach attempts per day. Agencies maintain spreadsheets of referral partners and past clients, sporadically following up every few months when product pipelines run dry, creating feast or famine revenue cycles. Now, if I look at the clients that we speak to, the clients that we've worked with, the clients that I take calls with, on a pretty much daily basis, that all rings true, right? And so we have all of that messaging and kind of positioning stuff here, and then we can draw from that at any point. Okay, so the next step really is to select a channel of outreach. Now, obviously, we use cold email, so I'm not unbiased here, but when you look at the lifetime gross profit to customer acquisition cost ratio, I'm fairly sure it beats any other channels despite the rising costs, right? From there, it's about actually putting that offer in front of the ideal client and iterating based on the feedback that you gather. So all we ever have when we start outbound for the first time is a series of hypotheses, right? We don't know the answers. There's a difference between product market fit and message market fit, right? And if you don't follow Kellen Casper on LinkedIn, go and give him a follow. I think he was the originator of the term message market fit. But essentially what that is describing is how your ideal client or how your market interacts with you when you go to them cold, right? When you're outreaching to them. Because having product market fit, like I said, does not necessarily mean that you have message market fit. That's a different beast of its own, and that's something you can only find through continuous testing. From there, it's about following up and nurturing interested prospects. So I'll run through this and the last point that I made. How do we actually create those kind of personalized messages for everyone at scale? Here's an example from one of our clients, right? And so here we started off just with a list of with a list of companies. And this was basically, call it a Dream 100. It was a list of companies that they'd been storing up for years, of people that they wanted to work with, but we had no contact details. We didn't know who the decision makers were at that company, etc. And so we pulled that into clay.com, which, you know, is something we use daily. I've used it pretty much daily myself for over a year at this point. And what Clay allows us to do is pull in data from over 75, I think over 100 different data providers at this point, so that we can create really tailored and relevant messaging because we have such detailed research. So in this example, the first thing we had to do is find out, okay, who are the actual decision makers at this company? And what we did was use an AI web researcher to do that called Clayagent. So that's going to go out, and we've given it instructions here. And you'll see, okay, you know, go and find the owner or main contact and return the results as JSON. So it's gone out, found the owners, you know, found contacts, contact emails. Wherever we had just a name, we wanted to combine that with the domain to find, you know, the rest of the emails. And then from there, what we did was actually use Clayagent again to go and search the web. And in this example, what we said was, look, I want you to go to the site and gather as much information as you can about the company. I want you to find out about any media features. I want you to find out about any case study or previous work or anything interesting about the company, because in this case, our client is selling media placements. And so what we really want to do is say, hey, you know, based on the media coverage you had here, what do you think having more of that, what effect do you think having more of that would have on your brand? And then from there, we created, you know, a first line based on that research we'd done and went from there. So, you know, when you look at kind of selecting that channel of outreach, which, as I said, for us is called email, putting the offer in front of the ICP and iterating based on feedback. So you're really iterating the messaging, you're iterating the different, you know, for example, challenges addressed, the different value props that you have, the different kind of pain points that your typical ideal customers are facing. And that's what you really want to get to the bottom of. Following up and nurturing interested prospects is really about inbox management. So once someone, you know, gets back to you and says they're interested, a lot of people will just leave that to hang for a few hours. And that is an absolute no-no because, you know, there's really good research from, I think it was Harvard Business School, that showed the chances of converting a lead after 5 minutes drop by about 80%. So really, you have a 5-minute window to try and get them while they're hot. And if you do that, your chances of converting them to a meeting are actually very high. And so, you know, inbox management becomes really important here, especially if you're doing this at scale, right? You want to have templated responses that you can put people into based on you know, what they expressed in their reply. And then after that, it's just about closing sales qualified leads. So that means getting on those calls with people. And the sales qualified leads are the people who fit your ideal client profile and also are actually interested enough in what you do to get on a call with you and chat to you about it, and closing as many of those people as possible. And this, you know, is a video on its own, but this really comes down to things like understanding the market, which I touched on, understanding that only 3 to 5% of your target market is in the market at any one time. The 7-hour rule, which is, you know, why content, especially in 2025, is so important, and really, you know, why we're kind of promoting that within our client base, because when someone gets a cold email from you, they've obviously never heard of you, right? And so they understand that, you know, you're offering a service, but to get them from that point where, okay, yes, we're interested, to that point, okay, let's pay you thousands or maybe even tens of thousands, which is the case for a lot of our clients, of dollars every month, takes a lot of energy, a significant amount of energy. And so that's kind of the next step. Once you've figured out kind of getting the cold email system set up, actually getting that messaging, then the next step is getting those people on calls and closing them. And that, like I said, deserves another video on its own, but we'll go into that at another point. So that's kind of the high level overview, like I said, of our growth thesis. If you have any questions, again, leave them in the comments and let me know. Thanks.